Okay, would like to welcome everybody here for the August 17th, 2022 work session. I'd like to again welcome everybody. So I'm ready for I guess, work session on Title IV water amendments. Travis, Steve Jones, and Hanson Hallelujah.
I'll be right back to get him a connection.
Okay.
Mayor Council. So if you remember last council meeting, you tabled the changes to the water ordinance. You want more information? We brought our expert Steve here. So we're just going to talk about what the state code says and what where we're at as far as our water situation, and hopefully answer your questions. We've got 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So
Do we wait for Travis or we're okay to keep?
Steve needs the connection.
Oh, okay.
That Travis is getting.
Oh, okay. Good.
Otherwise, Steve won't be able to show us anything.
Welcome, Steve. Here he is.
Oh, so Travis has a dongle.
The hardware is probably more accurate. If there's a cable.
Oh.
You can't hold that.
yeah.
Okay, so I just log into the Zoom.
Okay.
Just go to the Payson Utah.org.
Yeah, if you'll read it.
Where's an engineer when we need one? Travis, come on, that was fun.
Well, humor is in the eye.
Don't you know engineers are a little bit
Verbal.
hysterical?
Oh, it's there.
I
Not
can also
fun.
just use the whiteboard. We might end up doing that.
Uh-oh.
Because this is a work session. Come on, Travis.
It has been a very good.
Oh, has it? I can relate to that.
The mayor got an email about there.
He didn't hear you.
I had to teach all day today. It makes for a long day.
Uh-oh.
First day, yeah.
I already covered myself.
Yeah, that's.
Not a problem.
We didn't think.
Hey, at least I was. We're on the report.
There's a backstory. I'd love to hear.
I'll share.
Share.
Riding bus today.
No. Oh, he said driving.
There we go. Look, like he's got it working.
You know. Do whatever you want. Minimize it, I can't even see it.
No, he meant the pictures.
There you go. Uh-oh. Disappeared.
Okay,
Here we go.
you won't be able to read those numbers.
Okay, I might make note that we're starting a little late. It's about 5:15 for this work session. Go ahead, Steve.
So Travis asked me to go. Basically, it's some mass balance discussion. And so we're looking at well supply, water supply, state law, exaction policy, they're all kind of related. And that's,
Okay.
how are we doing in gathering the water rights that we need for the future needs of the city?
Okay.
So we did a little study where this is supposed to represent, we did a list basically of all your water rights. We did an audit, inventory, if you want to call it that. So we gathered all the water rights that the city has. So the end total is that 6,785.73. So currently,
What's that units? What are the units?
acre feet.
Thank you.
So I think all the numbers we're going to talk about today focus on our acre feet, just to clarify. So currently you have in your name, the city's name, 6,785. And if you kind of look through like priority dates and things like that, they're all really good priority dates, except
Okay, now, one more quick question. That does not count the water that will be coming through this CUP, or does it count it? Does not count.
just groundwater well rights.
Okay.
Culinary water.
So we're doing good.
except for if you lose a big well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we keep those things in mind.
Okay.
So we want a certain degree of redundancy
Yes,
so that we can fix a well, so that when we do, we don't have to pay somebody to hot shot the pump out of California because
Exactly.
we can't sit 3 days without it.
yes.
Okay.
And there has
And
been
this is
some
where my concern
concern
came in.
about that.
This is where my concern came into the meeting last time, why I tabled it and said we wanted a work session, because I just didn't, we'll get to it.
Yeah, I think all of these are basic numbers that I think city councils should at least be informed of, so that they can make appropriate decisions. Okay, so now future, how much do you need in the future? Now, I guess it's important to note that when we're talking about future, this is again gallons per minute. We're gonna go ahead and skip to the acre feet. 7,185. But that includes only the area that the city decided to say, we're gonna look at this area for growth. If you remember, kind of drew a line, that's kind of like the railroad tracks or somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
the one that does not include Spring Creek,
That is correct.
which is a very large chunk of ground
Yes,
that is well underway,
yes.
right?
So if you include that into your planning window, then this number will only go up. Right, this is what the predicted total drinking water demand is for the area that you looked at.
And that would be, in order to meet that, we need the tank out in the West Mountain. Is that what we're talking about to increase
Either
that?
that or over kind of by the Highland Canal.
Okay.
These guys have looked at a couple of.
Couple of different, but and just a new water tank and new water
Yes, a
supply.
new water tank will eventually be needed. And there are a couple options.
Okay.
And when Steve says eventually, like, pretty much not very far in the future.
So Steve's question, because you said that it doesn't include, did you look at our general plan at all of our growth area or not all of it?
All that we were asked to look at, which was basically everything up till about the railroad tracks, and nothing on the west side of the railroad tracks is included in the master plan. If you remember. That's the whole reason why now you're looking at Spring Creek area. The whole reason why that came about is because it was originally left out of the master plan.
We had decided, well, it was decided that we would focus on heading east and not west and not try to divide our forces. And we understood that when we went into the master plan. We were a little hesitant, I think, as a council to some degree, because we maybe felt like it was coming quicker, and lo and behold, it's here and it's moving that direction. So we need to account for it, but our numbers are showing us what we had, and this would be worst case scenario. But how many acres is are we talking out to the west? Robert? Doubles the size of our city.
So now we're gonna do this study, basically.
To that.
We'll know the number.
Okay.
Add to this, but they just barely worked out what they want to assume out there.
All right, well, keep feeding us the numbers and then we'll delve into my concern.
Well, the other one but before I forget it is, we had a very good discussion with Kilgore where they bought Taylor Ranch. Have we factored in what we would need for Taylor Ranch, or is that something outside our parameters?
Outside.
Outside.
We have an annexation
Yeah.
policy plan,
Yes.
and we worked out with other cities where our boundaries are gonna be, and we didn't count that. Growth.
That's why we did the links. That's why we said this is up to 10 years, 10, 20.
Yeah.
That's why
We
we
put
had
it
to do
beyond the
those.
planning period. so
Yep.
but-
You had to do certain planning horizons.
And we should have used months instead of years.
You can do your growth for up to 40 years, can't you?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we go out past the range? Because if we're gonna say we're gonna cut off exacting water from somebody, but our growth is farther than what we planned.
But the ring we put at 40 years, I think we did it at 50 years, no, 40?
Okay.
But it's fine to have 10, 20.
24.
I think the long term was 40, and we were gonna keep everything east of the railroad track within 40 year. And beyond 40.
We didn't make that many.
But as we
Why is
bring,
the
as
window
we
so
bring,
large?
say, Taylor, that
Window so
water will be
big.
brought into the city.
Everything's gonna change
Well,
anyway
yes,
from your plan,
but
so that's why we
You
said,
still have to.
like, we're gonna cut this off
That may not be.
and only
enough
go this
to-
big,
No,
whereas if you go out here.
Still have
take
to
the
do a
whole,
study to see.
Like, future city, nobody knows how that's gonna be zoned 20, 30 years.
And it is responsible if cities can do it.
Yeah, you
It's
heard
difficult.
those,
Try to get
Delaware,
developers
they want to move on that
to
sooner than
develop in
later.
a certain area, because then you can. plan
Couple, 3 years.
For building utilities that are required. They are here and here and here and here. You gotta build the whole thing up front and the city has to pay for it. Eventually it'll get paid back in 60 years. So it's tough. And that's what happened is it was really the sewer. Oh, we can't get the sewer to the treatment plant. That's the issue. And so that's gonna cost big bucks. We wanna front that to allow the growth to come over here? Or do we want to promote the growth happening where we can serve them? So that was the decision that was being. At the time. Okay,
Right, but I think things are changing and that the discussion needs to morph to match where we're at. Because-
And so that's why, as part of this Spring Creek plan, there's an infrastructure element.
Correct. Perfect. And that's what there should be. Right. And I think, I mean, maybe it would help if I just voiced why I felt like we should table it last time was because we had said we weren't going to require water rights for new builds. And I felt like it was unfair to those that had already provided those water rights. But legally we can't. And I'm just we just need to come up with a solution that's fair to the people that have built, to the people who are coming. Clearly, we don't have capacity. So I don't understand why we can't do, okay.
I'm not very patient.
to the answer to that one.
there's two.
Can't we just open the present?
There's more water. This is strawberry water, but we're focusing on drinking water, I think.
Right.
But I put all these other numbers in there so we can talk about it. Okay. So there's a couple of concerns. One is that we also we're part of a Mount Nebo study where we did a bunch of groundwater modeling
Right.
to figure out how much water is actually available in the ground. Now, up until this point, we just kind of pumped because we just put a well in and we just pumped. It's
And hope it
unlimited
kept coming
supply.
up.
Unlimited supply, what did you say?
And hoped it kept coming up.
Yes, exactly. Hope you don't get a dry well. So obviously, it's responsible to figure out maybe how much water is available as more and more wells get drilled. Do we have enough? So I didn't label this at all, but what we determined was if you look on the books at the state engineer's office, there are 36,000 acre feet of groundwater. Now, not all of this is valid, and they're in various stages of
Audit.
yeah. But there's 36,000 acre feet of groundwater right on the books in Payson. And our prediction of how much actual water is available is 74, which also happens to be the same number that we're predicting for the current growth area that we plan for. And that 74 actually includes the whole annexation area, including Spring Creek.
So we have 7,400 acre feet. We've already collected 36,000 acre feet of water.
Now you
No.
74.
So who owns
That's in
the
the
other?
whole area, that's farms, that's everything.
Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, you've already collected 6,785. Plus, if you include the springs, there's a little bit more. So you're getting really close.
Yeah, we're.
So the problem with collecting more than this, more than
Okay.
74, 75, somewhere around there, is if you, and I'm working with lots of other cities that have already done this. They just plowed ahead and collected, but they exceeded the actual capacity of the ground. And so, and they discovered that because they kept up, wait a second, we can't pump anymore because it's gone below our pumps now. So what's happening? Oh, we don't have enough supply. We have 3 times the water rights than we do physical water.
Right.
So 2/3 of it is a complete waste. They're of no value because the
There isn't
physical
wet
water is not
water.
there.
Okay, so this
There
is
isn't
great.
net
We've
water
caught
there.
this at this point in time.
Yes.
Now, to the legal issue. I don't care if we get any more water. I just think that every new build should be paying into our water infrastructure system.
Absolutely agree.
So instead of buying water rights and bringing them to Payson, they owe us $5,500 because we need a new water tank in order to facilitate those new homes. That is all I'm asking for, is an increase in fees for their building permits to cover water infrastructure instead of telling them, you don't have to bring us water. I just want to shift that money into something else. So Payson City still
And
benefits.
one big one that you probably still have to discuss is the ULS water. That you basically have already purchased, not you, but your predecessors, whatever,
Yes.
20 years ago.
And we're the guy, well, yeah, but we have to pay for it.
You gotta pay for it. Who's gonna pay for it?
Well, we got to sell it to somebody.
Yes.
Which is
The new bill.
understandable, and that's, but the way that it was presented to me 2 weeks ago was that we are putting a moratorium on collecting of water rights for new builds until we have met the amount of water we actually have. And to me, it didn't feel right that that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
It just felt to me like we were giving some of these big developers, and it's the big developers that are coming in right now. And I didn't want Whitehorse, and I didn't want Villages at Arrowhead for every house they put in there to walk away with an extra $6,000 in their pocket, because they're not putting into this system. I just want their fair
Yes.
share paid into the system, and we want to do it legally.
Right, and you wanna be one step ahead. And so if you're running out of physical water, you don't wanna be collecting that worthless paper water, because you can't go back and collect, oh, I'm sorry.
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
You
so
gotta
if
be
we've
a step
collected all the
ahead.
physical water rights we need, then let's do something else. And the ULS water, I know is coming. We approved it at Mount Nebo Water Board. They showed us the land that they've bought, had nice pictures of Kurt in there. And it's the one meeting I get to go to, you know, and it was, I see where that's headed. They've got that infrastructure coming in. They can do, whoa, it was 1 million gallons a day. What was the number? I don't even remember. It was,
The plan for that treatment facility is 120 million gallon per day plan,
per day.
when it's built out,
And it was starting out, it was
probably
20.
half of that,
20, 60, whatever it was. I don't even remember. The numbers were so big.
somewhere
So-
between 40 and 60.
The water coming through ULS is gonna be fine. This will hold us until we reach that point.
Yes,
And about that time, ULS will come on board. But we need infrastructure. We need storage capacity. We can't store 124 million gallons of drinking water in a slough ditch somewhere.
so it's everything, pipes, tanks,
The whole 9
just
yards.
making sure
Sure, I
you're
missed- I
staying
wasn't
out
with
ahead
that.
and making
That
sure
was-
you're
I wasn't
collecting the
clear when you
right
talked about-
impact fee.
Not sure,
Right, and
not
that's,
having people.
that's what
drink
I
water.
didn't want that
But I
impact
think it's
fee
a
to
great
say, well,
idea.
it's gone, we can't
The
collect on
equivalent
this
of
anymore.
the
And that
money,
was the
so we
impression
use
I was gathering.
infrastructure.
No, we just need to kind of redefine it.
So what we were attempting to take out is state law. We have met that burden. We are taking that out, putting a moratorium on it. Until we reach a level where we need to. Bring it back.
Yeah, that's-
Right, I just
this is
wanted
the
to
state
see,
law.
I wanted to see it in place, so it was a smooth transaction. So there wasn't a 2-week period where people were getting free.
But
Free
then
water.
the flip side of that is, how are we paying for infrastructure? That's impact fees on the income bills. We are charging a water impact fee for all of that, so that we can build water teams, we can build.
Yeah, but
Some of
right
these
now,
Developers are in process and want to develop certain areas. They may have to contribute higher amounts toward the water. Or toward an upgrade of the system, just to get their development in. And some of these further south, to the southern border, may have that problem.
Basically, Spanish Fort made this transition 10 years ago or so, when they discovered, whoa, we have a big pile of drinking water rights, groundwater rights. And so now we need to make a shift, because so this is law that says you can only gather so much, can only get so far ahead of yourself. Else you put yourself at risk of not obeying the law, basically. And so they switched to be collecting PI water, or not drinking water, not groundwater anymore. In fact, not even allowing that because they already had way too much, but focusing on the surface water, the secondary water that they needed in their pressurized irrigation system.
And just so you know, we left that in. So developer is still required to provide us with the PI water. It's only the culinary.
So, but what is how much culinary water were they required until we decided to stop it? How much? That
3 acre foot per unit.
3 acre foot per unit, 0.3. What is the value of an acre foot right now?
Depends on where the water is.
But back in
It's just paper
time,
water. It doesn't really exist.
No, it depends on what the water is.
but the reason why you have a good portfolio is, again, the same, probably some of the same people that bought the ULS water. In the end, that's probably gonna be a good purchase. Maybe right now it doesn't seem a little burdensome. But
I don't even think it's right now, because ULS to me was a good purchase, and I think it's gonna be a good program. It's just gonna slap us in the face for the first 10 years we have to pay out on.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of the matter.
But they also.
But that was
acquired
unavoidable.
good
It was
groundwater rights.
just what it
They
is.
actually, they've gotten to the city's name, very good, high priority groundwater rights. You just can't ask people to pay for them unless you can show that you paid for it, if that makes sense.
Right.
You already have a really good portfolio. And as long as you make sure you don't get out ahead of the supply, all that water is physical, a type of physical water that is very valuable for you into the future.
Right, well, it sounds to me like there's no more groundwater to be had. If we have those, we have the old, we've got the proprietary rights to it. It's not gonna do us any good to buy young water, because we'll never ever see it, because we'll use our own water before then. We'll switch over to the ULS. It just comes back to making sure that there's that 0.3, and you say the price varies. Is it 1,200 an acre foot for water, or is it? What?
It depends. It depends on where that water is, what kind of water it is.
Give me a low ball and a top ball. Where-
$18,000 an acre foot is kind of the top in the state right now.
Yeah.
It's what's.
Okay.
Saratoga Springs.
There are water crazies that try to get 25 to 30,000 an acre foot.
That's probably a little crazy.
Right, and so down on this end of the valley where we maybe have a little bit more water. how much-
1,000, 2,000, that's probably on the low end.
Okay,
That's way low.
If you can find a really good.
so
deal.
if we went in the
if you
middle
can
and
steal
said
some from somebody,
$6,000 an acre.
$1,000 an acre foot,
How
that's
can we
pretty cheap.
add $2,000 for a 0.3 acre foot upgrade of water to our impact fees? In addition to what they're already paying in water, so that we can have that additional
Right.
$2,000. I don't care if it's for stormwater, PI upgrades, if it's for culinary. I feel as a representative of Payson City, my job is to protect the people who voted me in, and that's what I'm about. And I mean,
So
I
if you
feel like
can
I'm
show
playing
that you-
hardball.
I'm not sure you can collect an impact fee and just make it a general impact fee and run it over wherever you want to.
Right.
You have to
No,
collect an
that's-
impact fee for a specific purpose,
For a specific purpose.
nor new build infrastructure
But if-
for that purpose.
But if you can show
Well,
that.
see, and then that still bothers me too. and
Well, It
I-
doesn't matter whether it bothers you or
It's-
not.
it's the law.
I know, so, but this is where
That's where you
they're
gotta
like,
stop.
well, old
bothers
infrastructure
me, but
never
it's the law.
matters. Well, if old infrastructure never matters, then I say we put a moratorium on all infill, because that infrastructure is already there and we can't upgrade it. So no more houses infill. If you connect to an old pipe, you can't build a house in the city of Payson, because impact fees won't let us upgrade those pipes. And that's where my problem comes into play. Because every time somebody taps into pressurized irrigation, I lose pressure. Every time somebody taps into culinary, I lose pressure.
And you're paying for it, so right
Yeah,
now-
but they're not.
They are.
Okay.
What we did is we went back and anything that the city paid for, so it's already built, but we can show that the city paid for it and it has capacity, we can charge the infill for that.
Additional.
capacity.
Okay, so then how do we upgrade? Because it's still within the capacity, we can't upgrade it. Is that the caveat there?
You could upsize it. If you
That's,
replace it, it has to come from the user fee. But the tank, in your tank does have excess capacity that you are selling to the new infill.
to the new, so that's, but
The infrastructure pipe, we can't use that.
I know, but you're still tapping into it and it's shortening the life of it and decreasing, and it just, to me,
But the pipe that you're installing up by the new tank, that we're upside
Right.
down big tank,
yes,
that has a ton of new capacity that can be sold.
can be sold, and then we can use impact fees for that.
Leave the other pipe in there, and 100% of it can be used
Right.
for our future homes in your existing city.
See, I just need more of that kind of information so I don't get my undies in a bunch, you know?
So the same thing with the water rights. If we can go back in time and see that you had paid for any of that,
Yeah,
you can sell it to the new people coming in. So instead of them bringing the water, the
And-
extraction policy, they can pay for what's already.
right. And I'm fine. Let's get rid of they don't need to bring the water with them. I just really would like to see the financial burden still left on the new builds. And like I said, I don't care where it goes. If we, you know, I know we have to stay within the laws and the bounds. If we need to start selling capacity out west in a tank that doesn't exist yet, so be it. Buy the land and start using that money to pay for the land. Whatever we have to do, I'd just like to see that. And I, even if it was a fair amount, you know, I mean, we don't need to sell them for $21,000 a water share and sell them a third of that. No, I'm fine that even if it was $1,000, even 500, just so it felt like people that had already paid into that program weren't being cheated out of something they had to pay for. And that's all I'm concerned about.
And that's what the impact fee, when we do an impact fee study, that's what we're doing. We're trying to maximize the fee that you could charge. That's
Right.
the maximum impact fee allowed, is what they call it. We're trying to figure out how much of that you can charge. Now, some cities decide to do less for whatever reason. But we can certify that our calculation of those fees are all
Justifiable.
law, meet the code for being able to.
And do we need to revisit that every year? Because, you know, the home,
This year,
yeah,
we had-
the home builder said that Spanish Fork and others do that. And then we haven't revisited every year. We need to revisit it
So
every
when
year.
are we going to revisit that?
Yeah, so we're
Oh,
updating.
we're in the process. Okay, so I think you've covered my concerns as a city council, as a citizen, whatever it might be. If we're in the process and we're going to take that into account and can justify it the best we can, I am fine moving forward and changing this policy of the water rights.
Like, based on this conversation, we could have Steve, because I've already been in touch with one of his coworkers, Katie, that we're gonna need a new tank probably within the next couple of years. So we could include that in the impact fee to purchase the land and put that tank. But in
Perfect.
direct, you know, in direct, like, water shares, we can't say because you're not dedicating water, you're gonna pay another $2,000, $3,000 in an impact.
No, and I understand that. I mean, you can't say, well, you can't do this, so we're going to do that to you.
If
And
we were gonna, if these guys were gonna build the new water treatment plant for drinking water.
We are, just not
But I'm
anytime
saying,
soon.
in that 10-year window that they allow us in the impact fees, we can include some of that, but because that's so far out, we can't really.
Yeah, if I started right this second, I'd be at least 5 years.
Yeah.
On a new treatment plant.
right, but can't we purchase the land, or is that owned by Central Utah Water?
We own the land where the treatment plant's going.
So, yeah. And I'm fine. I'm game with this. I like the idea of if in the next 10 years, we've got to have that, let's up those
But
impact
for
fees for
example,
water.
When we start the plant, you could start saying, okay, well, we got to get a line to us from that plant. We could add that to the impact. fee.
Impact fees.
But there's plenty of time. I mean, that's what we're showing you, and that's what we're saying. Years, you're basically showing you have enough water rights to focus on your groundwater for the next 20 and 30 years. But that's why Central Utah is way out ahead. Okay, what happens next? They see that there's a cliff after that.
There's a big cliff. There's a big hole out there.
Right, so
You
they're-
gotta fill.
No, I
They're trying to
understand
be
that.
way out.
And we won't be around.
and making-
No,
But
we're
the
still trying
water
to
for
plan for
that, you already have, and you need to pay for it. So that is what you can start paying for is the ULS water, because that's the water they're gonna treat.
Correct.
That's part of
But-
the buying the land, you're buying the water.
Yeah, and well, we just need to make that water payment. I mean, we've bought the water. It's just time to pay the
Committed to
piper.
buy it. You haven't paid anything yet.
Well, yeah, but now it's time to pay the piper. That's what I was saying.
There's a couple of things we need to decide as a council. It'll be another meeting, but we don't have a lot of use for that water right now.
Not right now.
And so we could defer that payment for 10 more years. The cost is the same, whether it's now.
Right.
Start or 10 years later. It's just
We pay it for 20 years instead of 30.
pay it for 40 to 50.
So the cost is, the cost is higher because you put it off.
Right.
But-
Well, it's just more per month
but
is
you
all.
could have more per year residents to help pay for that.
Yeah.
We could also look at, leasing some of that to some other people, and we can take blocks of it. If we need some of it, we can take blocks and start paying for it now and let the other go. So that's the discussion we're gonna have to do.
And there are quite a few cities up north that do that on our other pipeline is they take just blocks and take pieces of
Spanish
it.
Fork is doing that.
And
Spanish is taking a block.
Spanish is taking up some of it right now, some of the ULS water right now.
Yeah.
And we changed our PI ordinance to say that the only thing they can bring
Is ULS water.
is, well, ULS and strawberry.
Right.
Surface water.
It has to be one of those two.
And I think it says Salem Canal because it comes from the same
It's the same source.
strawberry. We could change that and just say ULS only, then everybody that came in would have to just pay the fee. That's not help us build up a bank.
Basically, that's what Chris is doing.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still in the strawberry. So that's something we could do. That would, I guess, devalue a little bit the strawberry water. So those that have it, they would like to turn that over, not have to just pay out of pocket, but that, so far, that's what we have in our ordinance, but we can't use the ULS water right now for drinking water, so we can't charge a fee to have them pay for that.
It's
ULS
commensurate with drinking water.
water. Right. And I look back, I didn't do it, we could hire somebody to do a full accounting of our water rights. I mean, they've done the water rights, but I couldn't see anywhere in the last 30 plus years that we actually paid for water. Drinking water out of the city funds that we could go back and say, yeah, I can't find any receipts. Maybe there is some long ago, but the only thing I remember is when I first started here, the city had a block of East Jordan irrigation water. And it ended up going into a lawsuit. But I couldn't find a receipt that we bought that. I don't know if it was the developer that transferred that to us and we made a change order.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see anything, at least back 30 years. We could go back more and see it. And Steve's the one that told me if there's some way we could show, we as the city, the taxpayers paid for that water, that we could still charge for drinking water until we collected that back. But I couldn't see anything that we paid out of our own. We accumulated that water over development.
Right.
As this come in.
Basically, you negotiated with developers as they come to say bring water.
Yeah.
You didn't pay for it, you can't charge for it.
No, and that's understandable.
So that's why I think understanding what the state law was, you might need to stop exacting that out of the water ordinance and just do the secondary. And then we just need to monitor it. I'm a little.
We need to
I'm
increase the
thinking that- I'm
secondary.
thinking
or
the
we're
rate of
gonna
what we need
amount
to do,
coming
they
in?
need to be evaluated.
Travis?
We require a pretty good amount right now on what they have to dedicate per acre foot of irrigated area.
Okay, so it's not, we don't want
And
to
they
up
just
that.
up
just
three-
to end up with
3.2 acre feet per. That's what you got, right?
Three.
Is it just 3? I thought it was 3.2. I think it's 3.2.
Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's 3.2, which is actually really good. That's a good,
Like I said, we just.
that's a
we
good
just update
irrigation
that.
right. There's nothing wrong with 3.2.
Basically, we started with 2, the water turf. That give the homeowner losses.
Yeah.
Give the city losses, because there are losses. And so that's how we arrived to. It's a number that I keep coming back to, working with lots of different cities, as what is responsible to collect or use on a.
A lot of the CUP water rights is only 3 acre foot or less. So
So as a result of this work session and the tabled action, do we need to do anything here today or does that as future?
I'll have to put on the next
Okay.
agenda For an action item.
Okay.
For discussion.
Good.
Is there
Okay.
Any other things you want to cover?
No, unless you have questions.
No, I just think we need to get that into our, adjust those impact fees. To meet our needs.
You might say in
I
the
think,
pledge.
and Steve's firm is doing is the water, wastewater. It's just.
Culinary PIN.
Yeah. And sewer, that's right. Yeah. So we're updating that as we speak.
What about storm drains? Do we have any?
We do not have a storm rating.
We have a storm drain
Why not?
utility fee, but not an impact. fee.
That goes way back before I started.
Well, I don't understand why, I mean, even if it came down to, hey, we're gonna start collecting a storm drain fee, and at the end of every year, we go out and put curb and gutter in, and catch basin. Just so we can start that process.
You have a utility.
We do have a utility fee. for storm drain.
That's the first step.
That's what we've been.
Well, I know, but why can't we add the impact fee as well?
Absolutely. Salem is just updated.
Cause I don't know, I just see it everywhere. I mean, my neighborhood's gone crazy with curb gutter and sidewalk, and it's like, there's gonna be holes in it, and I'm tired of seeing gaps in everything.
It just depends on the council. Back when impact fees were just becoming the rage. We talked about the transportation impact fee, and the experts at the time said it's too hard to calculate. You've got many other cities using your roads, and how can you put that on a developer? Now people are starting to do that, so that's one too, but the storm drain was one we've had it after our report. We started the fee, but we didn't do an impact fee. I don't know. But it's allowed, and if the council's comfortable, we can do those. It just drives the cost up of building. And back when we were trying to get people to build homes here, that's why our previous council said we're only going to impose half of our electrical impact fee because it would put the cost so high, people, and we did get accused of it all the time. Is your impact fees are the highest in the county, and we're not going to come and build here. So it was like, let's keep that low, even though you could justify it with the study. But now buildings blowing up all over, so maybe it doesn't matter what the impact fees are.
So that's another justification to review them every year.
Absolutely.
But, and I mean, we are building like crazy and maybe we need to slow it down. I can see a lot of head nods slowing it down and I'm fine if that's what it takes to slow it down, because even if it doesn't slow down, it still benefits us. But right now, I mean, we can't keep spreading ourselves thin. Can't keep getting more bread and less peanut butter. I do listen, Robert.
Okay, we're
I
coming up
do.
on the regular council meeting. Brett, would you do a prayer for us for the regular council? Okay.
Hey, thanks for listening. This was a good meeting. I think we'll put that on the agenda. You consider it next meeting.
Yep.
I appreciate
it on
you
there.
coming down and taking the time.
Yep. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it very much.
Discussion,
If I
thank you.
can say one last thing. in general,
You bet.
you guys are doing a good job. I've walked into lots of cities that, oh my goodness, what have you been doing? And they've missed the boat in collecting the right fees and they have to fix the problem.
It was
Your
good
staff
to
is
know
doing
that
a
we
good
were,
job.
it was good to know that we own the physical water rights, the amount of water we actually have available. And
Yeah.
that is key. And I know that it's a problem otherwise.
Okay, thanks, Steve. We'll adjourn just for,
Mayor, can I say one thing?
you bet.
While Steve's here?
Yes.
They do our hydraulic memos for all of our new developments to see if we have any issues with water, PI, or sewer. So Katie does a lot of those for us, that works with Steve, and they always are putting in those memos now that we also forward to the developers, like, hey, these projects have to be done before you can develop. Because our water infrastructure needs some upgrades, which we're working on some of those, but there's even others that we still need to do. And so just wanted you guys to be aware of that there is a point in the very near future that we have to get some of those done, or we can't really allow new development because it's detrimental to our system.
That's another law.
Yeah.
You have to meet the capacity of the state.
And we don't want to arbitrarily put
The water
growth
showers.
off.
Yeah, we don't want when you turn your water on, nothing comes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. We'll reconvene in just a few minutes. Call out to the regular meeting of Payson City Council. We have just concluded a work session. Today's date is August 17th, 2022. And the time is, we'll call it 5 after 6. What's that?
Call it straight up.
Okay, we'll call it straight up 6 then.
Because that clock's.
Oh, yeah, the clock is, yeah, straight up 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and do that. Okay, I've asked Council Christensen if he would start this meeting off with prayer.
Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we're indeed grateful for this opportunity to participate in local government and to help to grow and to better this community. We ask for thy spirit and guidance and blessings to be upon us, that we'll be able to make the decisions that will be best suited for the people of Payson and for the future posterity. We pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Brett. We've also asked Council Beecher if he would lead us in the pledge.
I get everyone to stand, repeat the pledge with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda, ladies and gentlemen. I'll read through, it's quite a big list. Approval of the August 3rd, 2022 regular city council minutes. Approval of the August 3rd, 2022 special city council meeting minutes. Ordinance title 2.32.40 construction amendments. Number 4, title 4.12 solid waste collection and removal amendments. Number 5, ordinance, title 4.16 sewer and wastewater amendments. Number 6, title 5 stormwater amendments. Number 7, Mount Nebo Water Agency second amended and restated interlocal agreement. And then lastly, resolution Pace Industrial Park annexation agreement. If there's not any discussion on those on the consent agenda, I'm ready for a motion.
I have one quick question. Kim, is that the one from the Mount Nebo Water Association meeting in order to allow others in? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further? If not,
I move to approve the consent agenda as stated by the mayor.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion been seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Beecher,
Yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Is Council Hyatt on with us? Apparently not, but motion carries. We have a quorum.
Thank you. It was in alphabetical order that.
Yeah, how about that? Don't expect it every time. Okay, moving on to D, petitions. Number 1, Payson Santaquin Chamber of Commerce Quarterly Report. Laureen, you're up.
I want you to know that I did come to Big O Tire, the ribbon cutting on Friday.
And it was
And
Thursday.
I know, but I had written it on Friday. Well, and I got a free taco, so.
That's good.
Hey, there'll be another one down there with that Bowles place just across the street.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming up.
Awesome.
Okay, Laureen.
We are happy to be here with you this evening. Wanted to start with our announcing our business of the month is Chubby's. They have been, they have been so quick to give back to the community. As the minute they opened their doors, their focus was giving back. And so we're really excited to honor them this month. However, the city council meeting is at the peak of the dinner rush. So they apologize for not being able to be here tonight, but they're feeding everybody. So, but we will be holding the business of the month event in the next week or two. So that will be on our Facebook. Let's see. So just a few things that Michelle gave me to report. We have 154 members currently. And we have our ambassador program working hard to build that number up and keep building it up. Our revenue from July of 2020 to June of 2021 was $61,354.58. And we really feel like that year, the pickleball tournament was super successful. I think that year, everyone is really excited just to get out of the house. And so pickleball was an awesome way to help them do that. Then our revenue from July of 2021 to June of 2022 was 243.24. Lots of twos and fours there. Couple of things that we felt that we saw, made that, so that was not quite as high. We had some late memberships, a little slower renewing. A few people still, or a few businesses kind of still struggling with the effects of COVID a lot longer than they expected to be. Our pickleball tournament did not do as well. Later, they found out it was kind of competing against some other pickleball tournaments at the same time, which they didn't know about. But we have some new things that we're working on that have been really exciting. Our Orchard Days Pancake Breakfast over in Santa Clara was, we feel for our first year, a very successful event, and we'll plan on doing that again next year. For the Onion Days Car Show, we are going to have an ice cream booth. So we hope y'all come over, come get some ice cream with us. It's supposed to, according to the Farmer's Almanac, it's supposed to be a really warm day. So we're crossing our fingers for it. And then we are going to be doing a business crawl with a lot of the businesses in the chamber, and that date is to be determined. But it's an opportunity for everyone in the chamber to go from business to business, seeing just some of the things that we have in this community that maybe they hadn't thought of. So we think there are people driving north when they don't need to be, and we want to help them see that they don't need to be. Our breakfast club is the first Tuesday of every month, and it has been really successful. We've had some great networking opportunities for members and some great educational opportunities as well in the last several months. So right now, that's our report for this quarter, and we are looking forward to Onion Days and the car show. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to number 3 on petitions, public forum. Anyone can speak on items not on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. So we'll open a public forum. Not seeing anyone here in the chamber. Anybody online? Okay, go ahead and close the public forum and move on to staff reports. Come on, Janine.
I didn't recognize her, but she didn't.
We can hear you pretty, I think. If I can hear you, everybody can hear you.
I want to thank you guys for your support for the staff and supper. Especially you guys have the job of cut that salad and make sure you're not eating too much, but make sure you're getting enough where it's a nice healthy piece. So I appreciate it. It went really well. Had plenty of fish this year. I think all the tweaks we make it better each year, and we have a couple of things we want to try to get for next year. So each year we'll try to do a bit better. I do have a question, getting ready for Onion Days. You guys in the parade, any ideas how you would like to, what would you like to be in? What would you like to?
Air conditioning.
Does the council want to be all together like we've done in the past, or do we want to do it separate?
No.
All together is great.
Yeah,
We were in a buggy last year. That was fun.
it was Bob's, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he sold that.
Oh, he did?
I think he did. I guess we can explore it. Can we explore it and then get back to you?
Something try to do, yeah, Mayor, you and I talk all the time.
Yeah, we can explore it a little bit, and then I can relay it to the council if you're okay with that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we tried the old fancy cars once we overheated that one.
Yeah,
We're easy.
Murdoch, I mean, they're.
Everybody have a motorcycle? We could ride a motorcycle.
Yeah. Good. Get one of those electric, not the scooter, but electric.
I was thinking of getting a trailer from Paris RV and sitting inside with the air conditioning on. Wait for the.
But
open
nobody could see you.
My law requires you can't write.
You can't
It's a
ride the
fifth
train.
wheel, it's a different story, right?
No,
No, you can't even ride the fifth
Has to
wheel.
be- has to be one of them to do it right.
no.
Fine, get a motorhome.
You can buy one of them.
Decisions made.
No, I'm fine with whatever. I like to see the people and I like to be out there with them. Did we decide what we're doing as far as throwing of candy? I know that was a concern of Bob's. I know that some of the other cities had,
You can have walkers that hand it out, right?
That was good with Spanish Fork.
Salem did it that way too.
Well, that's the way you've always discussed
Yeah.
Well, we just
it. So
need
as
to
soon as you
get with
guys,
chief of police and make sure that he's doing this.
well, it does start with you guys, and I tell you that every year. If you guys don't want to, well, the rest of the people will. too.
Well,
So do not throw anything from your.
Okay.
Then we need to get
We need to get somebody to walk to the side.
Yeah, I would.
walkers.
I
that-
can walk for you, Linda.
No, I'm not talking about us. I'm,
Right.
Spanish Fork had young people that walk.
Anything Spanish Fork does, we can do too.
That's right.
And
So
we
we
can do
need to
better.
do it
And we can do better.
because we need to throw candy, not me,
No, we don't throw candy.
We
Hand
need
it
to
out.
We hand out.
Hand it out.
but they can carry it and they walk along the side
Yep.
and throw it like that.
We'll figure it out.
Just each block, like we would need to get people to do that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. We will figure it out.
Janine, I don't want to come up there tonight, but, the golf tournament did sell out in like 2 hours, the night golf. I'm gonna let you know.
Good.
No, don't post that because we get phone calls all day, every day, like saying, I go through there and it says sold out. So what, how do I get in there?
It's sold out. You can't.
How do you sell that? What about golf carts for our, through on the parade route?
Tracy does not give any golf carts.
Too busy.
Well, not only that, we've gone to the, remember we went to the electric golf carts? So
Uh-huh.
we can't, they don't have enough juice for you.
Me and Janine we'll figure it out and then get with you guys if that's okay. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's great.
Some council members, just to throw it out when you talk about it, some council members like to do their own thing if they're running. And so it just depends on what.
It's not an
But none of us are running, so.
Next year's election year.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody runs
Next
this year,
Yeah,
so.
That's right. It'd be a good time to go together.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah,
We've always
even
done
their city council actually were the Cooper Scoopers, could we pick up all those cities?
You
Just-
know what? I'll wear a t-shirt that says Dylan with Payson shit and I'll. run the show.
Please don't do that.
And then I would like to help anywhere with any days, if your schedule allows. Look in the booklet and see if there's, that you would like
There
to
she goes.
attend or be a part of, or be in charge of, or, I mean, they're all taken care of, but if you would like to be present at one, let me know so I can let that person know that you'll be there. But I would love you to take part. If you want to be at the info booth, anything, wherever you want to be, let me know. So I'd love to have your help. So, okay, that's everything.
Thanks, Janine. Any other staff? Come on up, Joe.
Okay, Mayor and Council, I think you're aware of this, but for the public that is here or will be watching this video, I just want to let you know that the U.S. Forest Service is proposing amendments to the recreational fees for the Uinta Wasatch Cache National Forest, which we are part of. Payson Canyon is within the Uinta Wasatch Cache. So in the case of Payson, they are proposing to impose fees. There's one campground on the Joe County side that they're proposing to increase the fee, but they are proposing that there will be some fee areas that will be implemented into Payson Canyon. So at this time,
Is
they
that
are.
just fee areas or is it fee to drive in the canyon?
So
Just
fee
areas.
Areas.
Fee areas.
It's not going to be like American Fort Canyon then.
Fee areas at this time.
It's a
I
precursor.
guess that's why I would
It's
encourage
coming.
the mayor and council and the public to get involved in this process so we understand a little bit more about exactly what these fees mean at this point in time and what those fees may become in the future. So I'm glad that you asked that question. I think at this point it is one step, but is there an opportunity for that to expand in the future? So anyway, there are a lot of areas throughout the Uinta Wasatch Cache National Forest, all the way from Logan, all the way down into our area. It's a very large national forest in the state of Utah. In the Spanish Fork Ranger District, there are 16 areas that are proposed to be fee areas. And 7 of those are along our scenic byway. So whether it's on the Utah County side or the Geauga County side. So anyway, the public comment period has been open since July 7th. It goes until September 7th. And so they are soliciting input for the community. They have comment cards out there. They've been sending out some links of how you can gather more information, how you can comment on it. I would highly encourage us all to get involved and to, like I said, understand it a little bit more. If you have any concerns with some of these areas that are proposed along our scenic byway, we need to share that with the Forest Service. They are willing to provide some additional information because of the amount of input that they have received so far. They have now decided to offer some public gatherings to have in person for people to come in more of a public open house style, to come in and look at some message boards and some information and to talk to some Forest Service staff. So there will be 5 that will be held between now and the end of the comment period. One of them will be in Payson, and that one is a week from tomorrow. So on August 25th, from 5:30 to 7:30 here in the banquet hall. So we would encourage anyone from some of the fees that proposed in Springville Canyon, Spanish Fork Canyon, Payson Canyon, Nephi Canyon. So anyone is welcome to any of these. But the one that would make the most sense for our area, of course, would be here in Payson, or to travel down to Nephi to there. So there will be one in Salt Lake City. There will be one here in Payson, one in North Logan, Heber City, and then, as I mentioned, Nephi.
What time was ours?
5:30 to 7:30. It is open house, and so you can come anytime within that 2-hour window. But spread the word, let people know. I think more than anything, this conversation I've had with the Forest Service is they want to start a dialogue with the public. Yes, they are proposing fees. Any decision will be made relative to those fees, but I think it is really important for us to share why we enjoy our canyons, why we want access to public lands, what we're utilizing it for. Is it for visitors? Is it for economic opportunity for the gateway cities? Is it for families? Is it for, how are we using these public lands? And I think it's a good opportunity for us to, beyond the fees, let them know how important these canyons are to us and access to public lands. I know that Payson City's put a lot of effort into our rebranding of our community lately, and a lot of that ties into the outdoor recreation. And so anyway, again, I would encourage everyone to get involved and to share your thoughts and feelings. Not only come to this open house, but provide public comments. There will be comment cards there if you want to handwrite them. I also have links if you want to do those electronically. So there's, like I said, there's a number of ways that it can be done. So we don't want that to limit anybody of how they can share input. Unless you have any questions.
Did your email include those links?
I believe it did on the press release. So the press release that was attached to the email does have the links to the storyboard, to the comment card, and also to the email of the individual that will be receiving all of that input. But it was very encouraging hearing from the district ranger that there has been a lot of input from Payson residents and people in the Payson area. And so I think that is another reason why they have chosen Payson as a site to have one of these. And just for the benefit of those that are participating, the areas along the scenic byway are starting from, well, they're not in any particular order. Cottonwood Campground, which is on the Geauga side, Devil's Kitchen, Jenkins Flat picnic area, the lower Grotto Trailhead and the upper Grotto Trailhead, and the Monument Trailhead. So Devil's Kitchen, of course, is our geologic wonder that we usually use as the mini Bryce Canyon in order to encourage people to come to our scenic byway and come and visit our communities. And then, of course, the Grotto Trail is very popular. We've all heard but the Monument Trailhead is one of the location points in order to start the trail to summit Mount Nebo. And that's the namesake of our scenic byway. So, I mean, this is very important. There's a lot of people that are passionate about this and want to share their ideas or maybe some expectations or whatever it may be. But if anything, we just need to continue a good relationship and a dialogue with the Forest Service so they understand how important these areas are.
Can I ask a quick question? You may not know the answer. Is it similar to like up above Camas, like you pay the $3 and your pass gets you into all of those for the whole day?
So they are
Kind of a
proposing
scenario.
that There'll be a certain cost for multiple day, for single day.
And it's just not per site, it's for the whole canyon.
So it'd be for, they've got it here, $10 per multiple day, $20 per week, $60 per season. So, yeah, that's another, that's what I'm hearing from a lot of people also is exactly what does that mean? Is it a punch
Yeah.
card? Is it, like you said, the kiosk that's gonna be at the mouth of the canyon? Or is it gonna be a fee tube? Or is it going to, or is this an opportunity for them to get more fees through law enforcement opportunities? There's just been a myriad of questions. And I think that's where it's like, okay,
Well-
now we know what some of those questions are. Let's start to get some answers to that so we can feel comfortable with, either our pursuits moving forward or we understand it more. moving
Right.
ahead.
Well, the thing that I have as a concern, and I mean, I don't do a ton of camping. I don't go up there a whole lot, but I go up enough to enjoy it, that you get up there and you see the same trailers in the same spots all summer long. And to me, if a fee area would alleviate that and make those people move those in and out, to me, that might be worth it to keep that traffic flowing and open it back up for everybody else. It's not somebody's private camp spot for 4 months out of the year. And so that's where I'm just was wondering if that's what it was, but it's so specific sites. You can still stop at all the other spots without the pass.
And so the district ranger indicated that these are the ones that are eligible. So they must meet some sort of criteria. That was another question I had is where is that criteria? But these are eligible. These are all eligible areas. Whether or not through this process they'll determine that all of these will become fee areas is yet to be determined.
Okay.
Once again, I think that's why it's important to share
They won't get one.
input. But also for the reason that you just mentioned is they have a reason why
Just
they
make
are,
up the criteria.
and it could be more than just monitoring.
Right. Well, and I just other areas up there, I'm like, well, why this and not that one? Why? I mean, so how do you guarantee that you're not?
Yeah. Well,
But that's, once again, I think it's raised a lot of questions, and that's why I think it's necessary that we have a conversation with them to get some of those answers.
Well, it seems to me like you're right in the thick of it. And so that's why I'm kind of maybe putting thoughts in your head, maybe questions to ask. But if I was to go up and go hike Benny Creek, would I be in violation because I wouldn't have a pass? I wouldn't need a pass, but it's the same parking lot for the lower.
but it's the nose of the camel. It's the nose of the camel. It's the start.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, they need to make sure that they're consistent and understanding. And so that's why I'm just starting those dialogue.
Valid concerns to bring up is, how do you know that they're not on Benny Creek or on some other trail or walking down to the CCC camp or something from that location, but that is the safest place to go
Right.
to the park.
And if you're charging a fee, I think there needs to be bathrooms. And those are starting points to ask, but I'll ask them.
Money be utilized for, if we see that the money collected will actually go to improve these sites along Nebo, I think a lot of people would support that because they're seeing some decline or they're starting to see more use, so there's more need for maintenance. But there's no guarantee. At least the way that it's structured right now, we're talking with them. There's no guarantee that the money that is collected for the sites along Nebo will actually stay on. And that's definitely a concern. I think if we were seeing some improvements
Right.
for these areas along there to better the user experience, I think that's fantastic. But, you know, without some assurances there that that will happen, you know, I don't want money that's collected on Evo to go to Tampa, you know, amount to notice.
Right.
You know, I know they're juggling money just like everybody else, but, you know, we have a lot of needs along our senior highway and we want to keep it open for visitors that come to this area.
That sounds like taxation without representation. to
There you
me.
go. Jill, one thing that in our, and I might let the council know that Jill has been heavily involved in this and I've been able to be somewhat involved with it. But it is an issue that every one of us should be concerned about because I don't want to get in a situation where everything we do, we have to pay for. We already do in a lot of myriad of ways. So it's a very important issue that we need to be involved with. And you had mentioned there was some proclamations that have been put out by the county, and who else?
Yeah, so Juab County and Utah County are actually going to submit a joint resolution to the Forest Service about their opposition to these.
Can we be part of that if there's interest in the council to do that, or do we need to do one separate?
Not sure what the rules on that is. I don't know, you know, county, city, or if it need to be something separate. I don't know the legalities of that, but I know
Probably
that.
have more clout.
Yeah.
And if you can get the state involved, they would have more clout than the county.
Okay, so
Counties would have more clout than we.
so it would be, if we can, to just be part of that. Is there any interest in from the council in being part of that?
We want to see what they had.
Yeah.
And I think even written statements, like I said, I think, you know, I've talked to the mayor about this, and, you know, maybe if we understand a little bit more, maybe how the council feels collectively, or some concerns that we would like to have addressed, or some responses, maybe even a letter from the mayor, would be very helpful.
If the council would allow me to do that, I'd be more than happy. I can share that with you.
I mean,
That's
I'm not opposed to the fees if it comes back to us, but I do not want the fees.
We've already heard it's not a guaranteed thing.
And I don't know if they've done improvements. I know they shut down the Grotto Trail for a while to do something up there. They closed it, did a bunch of stuff. I mean, is that where they're now feeling like they can charge is because they've done it?
And it may have been, and we ask those questions too, it's like, are there proposed improvements?
Yeah.
And we just gonna gather more information.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that some of that information will be shared.
On the
But we're
25th.
looking at a large area. I don't know if it'll be mostly Payson folks that are here at the meeting next week, but, you know, Spanish Fork has 5 areas up there counting that's supposed to be key areas, and there's only one in Springville.
Yeah.
But then, of course, some others on the
And just so the council knows, I've reached out to all the mayors that, except for Springville, I have not reached out to Springville, but I've reached out to the mayors, I've reached out to Burgess Owens and his staff for their support in helping us with these issues and talked to Clay Kosher today on Romney's staff. So they are aware and are willing to help us. Okay,
If you have any other questions, you know, otherwise I will see you next Thursday.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to quickly report a few things. We've wrapped up swim lessons this last week, and I'd like to commend our pool staff and swim lesson instructors specifically. We had quite the influx from Spanish Fork's pool closing this year. They handled that very well. I don't have numbers to give you right now. I apologize about that, but it was a full sessions. 450 to 500 students every 2 weeks through the summer. And then we'll be closing the pool, of course, Labor Day weekend. We'll be open weekends now for rentals as well as open swim. And a few more rental events that are happening this last few weeks. Tackle football game started last night, and youth soccer starts next week. And we started our fall adult softball leagues as well. On Monday nights and Saturdays for baseball and softball. So those are the things we have coming down. Thank you.
Just like, Payson High School playing football last Friday, do you know? On 44-14, Payson High School did, so I'd like to tout that. Yeah, new coach. Right.
And then the 6th grade won last night, 28-6. 8th grade lost last night. I don't remember their score, but we're happy to get a start there. Or sorry, the 7th grade team won last night. We're
Thanks, Carl. Robert?
Just really quickly, I wanted to report on an event that we had 2 weeks ago. We had the informational meeting for the Spring Creek area plan. We had about 55 people in this room and participating. I stood at this podium, it was right over there, for an hour and 45 minutes and answered questions and explained the thing. It was a good meeting
And you still have your skin.
I still have
That's amazing.
skin.
It's amazing.
I'm a big guy. Target is okay. But I just wanted to let you know where we're going from here. We actually yesterday sent out notifications to every property owner within that entire area to let them know that they can go and make comments on our website about that. We'll take those comments until September 1st. And then we hope to have a plan to do mid-fall. So just wanted to let you know that that's moving forward. I'm just going to take a personal note really quickly here and say that I've worked for Payson for almost a year now, and I just want to express to the staff that it's really helpful to work with. I really appreciate working with them, that we can meet with as department heads and really work things out. That's a rarity, and I appreciate that. I hope that you all recognize that. I think you do, that there is a really good working relationship and camaraderie in Payson that is working to your advantage. So just want to make that up.
Thanks, Robert. Any other staff? If not, we'll move on to council reports, starting with Council Christensen.
All right, I'd just like to echo what Robert said. The staff here really is great. I know that I always calling with obscure, strange questions, and you're always more than happy to run down the answers and point me in the right direction and tell me to get lost. I appreciate that. So I'm pretty familiar with my way around, so it's hard to get lost, but yeah, you can try. No, thank you. I appreciate it. And it's good to see that. I mean, the rain was great. Definitely turned my sprinklers off and enjoyed the couple of weeks off, and then realized, hey, I probably should have turned these back on sooner than I had, because it was a real shift real fast. But it's good to see that water come this way. So thanks.
Council Carter.
I don't really have anything other than what Robert said about our staff. I had a question out to the dump that I needed answered, and I had called and called and called. And it rang and rang and rang. And finally I called the office and found out that there's a new number then that I didn't know about, that wasn't printed, because I've got them on my fridge. But anyway, things like that. When they change number, let us know. Anyway, I just appreciate everybody that works so hard. Janine, she's a hard worker with all she does. They all are hard workers. You all are.
Yep. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Council Beecher.
I just wanted to say that, like the other morning, I happened to be coming back very early on a Saturday morning, and water was shooting up from a broken sprinkler, and I tried to get parks on a Saturday morning and I couldn't. So it'd be good if we could make sure that there's numbers or emails that we can send comments to.
I think that you can call down to the powerhouse, and they've got the ability to call people out.
Well, just
Sure.
it wasn't easy to find on the website.
Okay.
That was the only thing.
Sounds good. Maybe we can look at that.
It was,
Amanda just updated our phone list too, that you should have copies of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be good. And my other question was, what did council do at Onion Days? And Jean gave us that information. So thank you.
However you want to help.
Okay. That's all.
Okay. Is Council Hyatt on with us? I've checked with her. She's not on, I don't believe, right?
Not unless she's iPhone 5.
I'm on, but
Okay.
I don't have anything today.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
guess not. Okay, then thank you, staff and council for your reports. The next item on the agenda was action items. If we needed to talk anything about the consent agenda, we've been able to do that, so we don't need that. So we'll go to F, work session, again with discussion regarding economic development. Dave and Brian. The spotlight's on. Maybe we don't want to, maybe you make it come up.
Maybe you need to come up.
Whatever.
There's an empty chair over here. Come sit down with us.
Don't mind just getting a little circle and.
No, we got to be on the mics.
Good.
I've got a whiteboard right up there.
Oh, that you.
I took it out in the hall because it was
In the way.
good to see.
I was in your way.
Yeah.
Do you want the whiteboard back,
Go to the
Dave?
bathroom. I was gonna put it back.
I'll pull it in.
I can pull it in, it's close. Okay,
If you want us down there, Brian, we'll come down.
That's okay. If you want the whiteboard out.
I just wanted. You need the whiteboard, Brian.
It's not right now.
Well, let's get it.
Brian, are you online too?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, we might need to invest in a new whiteboard. I probably have to get a sandblaster. Yours did work. I did. I did it till my arm was almost out of socket.
Almost doesn't count.
I tell you what, it does, because it hurts.
It might be that we turned that one down when we were playing with the master.
But you can send up there.
Yeah, you could sit up here and use this.
That one has.
Please do.
There's candy up there.
Okay.
He's used to talking this way.
I can see the screen.
Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you.
We're good, Dave. He's just sitting up here.
Okay, so we just wanted to have a chance to talk with the council and the staff about economic development, our strategic plan. We started this about 2 years ago. We had quite a group that worked on this. And then with COVID and everything, just kind of sat there for a while. So some of the stuff that I sent out is a little dated, but so I just like to go through it and get the ideas, and at the end, we'll kind of go through what maybe your priorities are. And so just this is just and I'm going to go through just a little, some fun facts. I've put together some RFIs for the hotel we're trying to get, and for a restaurant, and a couple other things. So I just put some of those fun facts of some of those things I've sent out. So if you have any questions that we go along, let's just talk through them. So there's just some of the quick facts, just our population now and our estimated growth. And I think most of you have seen this. And then new construction, all that new construction, technical college, the high school, we're on the up to 3,700 residential units, about 1.2 million in office warehouse. So these are things that already come to the city, or we know that are in the planning stages. 4 new surgical theaters at the hospital. They aren't going to be actually, they're going to be new, but they're going to replace the ones they have, but they'll end up with 5.
They've been saying that for.
Oh, they're in the process. Oh, yes, yes.
That way they moved the MRI out into the trailer, probably.
Probably, yeah.
We have the gun range is still working with the BLM to come to Payson, with new streetscape downtowns, 8.2 million, and upgrade our sewer plant, 52 million. So we have a lot of projects coming to Payson. Then it just went through some of the things for the hotel, a lot of items just to show that we have things happening, get the hotel to come. And then we talked about the hospital, and Payson Temple, visitation, local businesses and movie production.
Yeah, that graphic right there shows how important the Nebo Loop is. 271,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how important it is.
And I'll tell you where I got some of these numbers on later because we bought some software. So let's just look at all the different warehouse and office and warehouse that we're looking at here in Payson, plus some of our other projects. This just shows our commercial construction. You see that we're just kind of flatlining here. We're doing okay, but it would be nice to really pick that up. So the top one's for Payson, the other one is showing Payson, Salem, Spanish Fork, and Springville. You can see where Spanish Fork's really taken off in the last few years. This is residential construction. You can see, and you know that from what's coming through here, that jumped up the last 4 years a lot. And so we've had just 1,654 units here in Payson in the last 3.5 years. But the interesting thing, if you go over to the right-hand side, you can see what our percent is to multifamily. So in 2020, it was 62%, and 2021 it was 70%, and so far this year it's 83%. So we're doing our fair share in multifamily, but that's just something to remember. There's just all the different housing projects that are coming. So we recently just purchased some software that we can track different things. And one thing that Mayor and I've always talked to when we're trying to recruit Home Depot is saying that we get a lot of people from down south, but usually they do circles when they look at populations and things like that for businesses. And if you do a circle, we don't get clear down to Delta and Nephi and things like that. So we can go in with this new software we got and show where people come to every different business here in Payson. So this is Walmart, and it just shows the map on top, just kind of a heat map showing where people come from. But then at the bottom, and this can go on to, like, there's a bunch of pages. It just shows the percent of people that shopping at Walmart, where they come from. So 15% come from Payson, but you get 4% from Nephi, you get Delta almost 3.5%. So, and then it goes into Mount Pleasant and all these other communities. So we can show now where we have population coming from, and that we do have more than just Payson area.
Can we get this information for businesses not in Payson?
Yep.
So like if we wanted to know for Home Depot, Lowe's, Sam's Club, we could pull those. Because I think that's the numbers that for those businesses that we want to try to steal away from somebody else. So we need to know if they're driving past our city to get where they're going.
Right. And we can get that. We are looking at doing something for Home Depot and showing Home Depot, if they go into Spanish Fork, they'll cannibalize themselves a lot more than Payson. We can even show how much cannibalization.
About 77%.
So
If they come to Payson, it's 50%. So it's better here.
So anyway, so it gives us a lot of flexibility. Yeah. So yeah, we'll start putting those priorities down. So when we get to that, so, but anyway, it just gives us an opportunity to show more than what they might be picking up, because they might just do the concentric circles. Yeah. Yes, I can tell you exactly how many visitors, how many unique visitors. I do it by 6 months, 3 months, 1 month. All those different items. Another thing we've had a really hard time with the Payson Temple for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is that there's really no way to quantify what happens there. And we've always said a lot of people come there because of weddings and things like that. But in this software also, you can geofence an area. So I can geofence if we want to know how many people are visiting Fort Bay and where they're coming from. I can geofence Fort Bay and know exactly where they're coming from and how many visitors and stuff like that. So
As long as you have cell phone service, right?
and they have a whole bunch of different ways they do this, more than just cell phones. So there's lots of, they just got lots of data they use. But anyway, so with the temple, I tried to geofence that, but one of their criteria for their rules is they can't do any religious places. So what I did is I put on a traffic count on both sides of the parking lot. So this is the traffic counts on both sides of the parking lot. So just from people that are over 50 miles away in the last 6 months, and this is from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday through Saturday, there was almost 50,000 people that came there in that last 6 months from farther away. So we can show people that they come here that they might want to shop or eat or something like that. Even up to 200 for the hotel is like over 100 miles away. I can show that 32,000 people came. So that's another thing we can use this for. And again, this just shows this is a heat map showing where all the different people came from, and the brighter it is, the oranger it is, redder it is, it's more people come, but you can see they come from all over the United States. So some of the things just for economic development, some of the things we just look at quite a bit is sales tax. You can see that they, in 2021, they went up 15% and 11% in 21, 22. That looks really good, but if we compare, there is a report that comes out, compares us to other cities, and our percentage has stayed pretty much the same. So we aren't really gaining. They've grown just about as fast. So, but we are, our sales tax and then our property tax also, you can look, that's another measurement of growth. And it's good for the budget, right, Dave? It's just building permits, just the last 3 years. And you saw how much we're getting in building permits compared to like in 12, 13 when you had the real downturn. Oh, double slide. Oops, I'm going the wrong direction. That's why. It's just some information that we took to ICSC in a pamphlet that EDC Utah put together for us. Just shows population and drive time and things like that. Again, some more population and profile, retail profile. So this is going back to the strategic plan, how we're first started putting this together. We had a core team that worked on it. We worked on vision, goals, objectives, met with some stakeholders. We did meet with city council at one time. It was a long time ago, so we won't do that again. We had some surveys that went out. And then, so the rest of these things are some of the things that we're working on for our strategic plan, what goes into a strategic plan. That's just the mission statement for the Payson Economic Development Committee. So basically it just talks about maximize employment opportunities, make sure business conditions are good, increase our tax base, have a good quality of life, and promote recruitment and also the retention of businesses are already here. And then the secondary be education, tourism, residential development, and downtown development. And then this is the vision statement we put together for the economic strategic plan. This is to devise and execute a plan that will lead Payson to be the preferred destination in Utah for adventure, including experience-based education, interactive business opportunity, and world-class outdoor recreation while improving the quality of life for its citizens. So you might want to think about this and see if this is really something that we want to do in our strategic plan. Are we really going to look at this as, are we going to try to be world-class in outdoor recreation? Are we going to, do we want experience-based education and how we really want to do this. So this is one thing that you might want to think about. Again, this goes back to our home to adventure and kind of the different bases of adventure, not just the outdoor recreation adventure, but the education and the business. That's just some of the strengths and weaknesses and challenges and opportunities we went through. So we did a SWOT analysis. Anybody have any questions or additions to this list that you think of? Tracy, the golf course is on there as a strength, just so you know. Okay.
What was it, number 16 in the world?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. These kinds of clusters that we looked at, if you know, the state has different clusters that they look at. They have health and advanced manufacturing, aerospace, IT, software. I think there's 5 of them. So we kind of looked at doing some clusters for Payson. And these are kind of the clusters that we came up with is the education, the outdoor recreation, hospitality and tourism, and retail, manufacturing, and these some kind of different manufacturing we'd be looking at, and healthcare, and this be supported by the hospital, and transportation. So if you have any ideas on clusters, or the main things that we want to work on, but these are kind of the things that we put together. And these are just our key initiatives, and this is one that you want to look at quite closely because everything drives off these key initiatives. And one thing I'll bring up too is our general plan. They did an economic a portion of that in our general plan. We might want to look at putting these two kind of together because they had a little bit difference than here, but this just goes back to those clusters again, and then what our goal is for each one of those clusters. So I won't take the time to go through those right now, but you do have that. So, and what I'd like to do is as we go through this and we'll talk some of your ideas, and then we'll come back and have more laid out and kind of here's a plan and make sure it works for everybody. And then this is just kind of one of the ways we put it together. We put the focus area, what our goal was, and different strategies for each one of those goals, and that kind of a time frame, and who the lead and supporting organizations would be, and then the budget. So it's just gives the example of like the Main Street downtown. You got who's working on it, and the budget and things like that. So each one of those clusters, those focus areas, goals would have one of these charts. And I think in our strategic plan, this will be more like an appendix because it'll be more of a moving target, where the others are goals, and that will be more concrete. So let's just go through all the different groups, all the different goals. We spent a lot of time going through each one, but I know that you have that, so. So I just want to get to here to in just a second. These are some of the things that we're doing: recruit, retain retail and commercial businesses. We respond to RFIs from EDC Utah. We work with commercial developers and agents. And this is one thing that we'd like to have approved by the council as having adventure days. We had the branding roll out, and last year we're going to have adventure day, or this year we're going to, and just crept up on us really fast. So what I propose at some point in time is come to the council and propose it on the first Saturday in June that we have adventure days, because we don't want to take away from Onion Days, and Onion Days is always going to be Onion Days, but we want to establish our brand and have, so we have adventure day or days or week or something like that. And then we do our annual economic development golf event, which is very well attended, and we're known around the state for that now. So networking, I know the mayor does a lot of networking, and so anytime you can network with other people and find out opportunities. Meetings with existing businesses, we work with the chamber on that, and we try to do that every 6 months, is have a meeting with the businesses. The new website for the whole Payson website, there is a place for it. It's not populated yet very well. There's just a little bit in there. We need to populate that. One thing that we did contract with Sunrise Engineering is that, you know, where we get a project that comes into the city, when we'll put this on the website, it'll show everything that's happening with that project, all the plat maps, plans, anything, renderings, anything that goes with that. So anybody, we can look it up, the city council could look it up, anybody could look that up. So you could always have it. If somebody asks you a question, it's going to be right there. So that should be coming shortly. They're working on it right now. Then the new software we talked about with UVU, and one of our initiatives is to try to have startup businesses they're going to have a maker space in their building, which will be equipment and things like that for basically startup companies or any company that has a use for specialized equipment or expensive equipment. They'll be able to come in and use that to make like prototypes or things like that. And we've been working with lobbyists to help us obtain money, fundings for like the Main Street and things like that. So those are some of the things that we're doing to recruit and businesses. And kind of the last thing I want to talk about, some of our immediate challenges. The retail along the interstate, the frontage. I've had 2 requests recently for kind of a retail. It's not the retail to like go over by Woodbury's area, but they want to be kind of on the freeway. They need like 5 acres or 10 acres. There really is nothing like that in Payson. We have the challenge of most of it's taken, and then we've got the church property that's kind of cuts us off from going up north. And then you got the like DeHart property down south on the one side, and you got a little bit on the other side, but there's really some way we need to address that if we're going to get some of these commercial interstate projects coming to Payson. You see a lot of it between like Spanish Fork and Provo along the interstate there. Industrial properties, just in the business park, there is only that I know of 2 pieces of 2 5-acre properties that are even left there in our business park that haven't been sold, and people planning on doing something with those properties. So we can't, when we're recruiting, we really don't have a lot of people to recruit here. So again, it's another problem is to deal with, because you know where you put it, where you have infrastructure and you have land available. Then CMP, just the time frame with BLM, they don't even want, they said they really want to be looking at that till next year. So we're trying to meet with them and move that process along faster. And just populating the website, and then the new I-15 interchange. With that, that would solve some of our quite a bit of our problems with the retail and industrial if we had that interchange in there, because it's just, so that's got to be that's an immediate challenge, got to be priority.
We're working really hard at that.
Okay.
We are. That's one of our why we have lobbyists too, is to help us with that process. So, but yeah.
You don't need road commissioners, talk to them.
Yeah.
Make the money.
Secondary challenges is just getting a hotel here in Payson, getting a sit-down restaurant, big box like Home Depot or something like that. UVU coming, they're really slow. remodeling Hewish, so we have a draw for downtown. Completing our food hall downtown that Wynn's working on and we're looking at an architect now to work on that. The Main Street streetscape, the DeHart and the challenges, again, like I said, the DeHart property and the church property kind of cut us off north and south. So there's some of the challenges. So that's the kind of the presentation. So one of my things I wanted to talk about is, and I got the whiteboard here, so whoever's a good, whoever writes really well, I'd like to just have some of your priorities and what you think we ought to be working on, and maybe some of the challenges you see and how we might solve some of those challenges, and what you'd like to see in the strategic plan. So. You guys can talk too, so.
I can't write. I'm not gonna volunteer.
I can't read either.
Who's a good writer? I can't spell, so that's my problem.
Oh, we have to spell, well, I'm out.
You're the teacher.
Yeah, but I'm teaching English.
I think what you've put down there there's a lot of goals, there are a lot of things that we can work on.
So maybe we can go through and say, Kurt, what's your top 3 priorities you'd like to see for economic development in Payson? Maybe somebody want to.
I'll go right. Good grief.
Okay.
Good gravy.
They don't pay me teacher salaries to do it though, so it's cut and pay.
Downtown parking.
What did you say?
Downtown parking. But Brian, I would like if you could just, like, if we could get a copy of this.
Yeah, I
Where
can
we
tell
can,
you.
yeah, if you could send us, so we can get a copy and really look at it and make notes.
Got it.
It's kind of a lot just to absorb.
Yeah, and I went through it, but I did send it to the
No,
council.
I appreciate it, yeah, but
But yeah, I agree.
that would be good to have, so,
Then do it.
yeah.
Yeah, but we can't see it.
You want to turn it a little bit?
Can you turn it so
You
I
can't
can
have
see
your-
what you're writing?
You can't have fix my yard, things like that. Okay.
What if I want to fix your yard?
No, you can't fix my yard either. My wife's done a good job of fixing our yard, so.
Home Depot kind of thing?
I think one of the things that we and we might have put down, when it's been mentioned, continue to work on the I-15 interchange.
Kind of your top 3 priorities for economic development in Payson. So what are your top 3 things you'd like to see happen here?
A sit-down restaurant,
Okay. All right, a good eating place. is
a
what you
good
said.
eating place.
she's saying.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, not another Mexican.
See, I can spell.
Just scribble it, yeah.
No, I expect.
I know.
But I can't read.
Just spell it.
That's why you did it that way.
Sales tax generators.
Sales tax generators, okay? What would you consider a sales tax generator?
Costco.
Okay.
Car dealership.
Not, yeah, but you're gonna look at cars, you're gonna look at retail, you're gonna look at, wholesale warehouse like, Costco.
But I
I
don't
mean,
know,
it's bringing in
Costco's
those
not gonna
sales
count
tax
it
dollars.
too close.
Winco.
That's why I always push
Winco.
Sam's Club.
Sam's Club.
Sam's.
Sam's, Costco, the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's Walmart, isn't it? Sam's are the same thing.
Sam's Club, Walmart's are next door to each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just looking at
They're
what they
owned by
will
the same
bring
people.
in
Yep.
collectively, not necessarily the size of the building. Because some small businesses bring in a lot of money in, but they don't have a lot of
Home improvement kind of stuff, home base, Home Depot, Lowe's.
No, Lowe's is too close.
It's too close.
Good.
Home Depot or Home Base, we've been maybe courting a little bit too, so.
I know I've been trying to. Ace, the bigger place.
So
Which,
Jill,
which is kind of connected to something else too, so.
Right, yeah. Well, that would give us some more downtown parking. Kind of a shift, but I don't know how much control we have over that. Still at the mercy of the people, but.
so Jill, I have a question for you. So let's say that we get one place in Woodbury and that takes up one of these, like Home Depot or something like that. Where, how do you get a Smith's or a Sam's Club
Where do you put them? We don't have any place else to put them.
The I-15 interchange.
Yep.
It goes back to what you said earlier, that we need to have certain locations for certain land uses, and we need to protect those areas from maybe other types of businesses that would. Yeah, we need to be supporting areas for those sales tax generators. And we have had instances in our community where we have other service oriented.
That's a good thing.
That are going there that we could probably maximize a little better the use of the property better for retail or for sales tax.
Okay.
So, and I know that it all works together. I know you have to have office and you have to have service oriented, but there's certain properties that really should be set aside for those sales tax. They need the frontage, or they need the visibility, or they need the easy access. That just goes back to the zoning part, which I know that you had on your list too, of making sure that we have the zoning in place to be able to support those goals.
Yeah, look at Paris RV. We would not be able to get Paris RV if something was in that land where they are, because we wouldn't have a place for them, period.
So you're talking about this, or Achilles heel right here, which to me, that's honestly what this is.
Yeah, it is.
It's got us in. The sales tax generators such as Sam's Club, Home Improvement, Smith's Marketplace, and some of this, some of the buzzwords, right?
Urban growth.
Right, talk all at the same time. Is it possible, is it worth it to us as a city to forego the sales tax to convince these people to maybe build in a spot that isn't ideal right now, but would become ideal? We know where the I-15 interchange goes. Could we convince Sam's Club, Home Base, and Smith's Marketplace to build in the middle of a field that doesn't currently have a road if we guarantee them 100% of their sales tax back until they've built that interchange? That would drop.
Yeah, they changed the law just this last year. Yeah, this last year.
No, to get what?
Have a ton of high density housing in association with that, and then maybe you could use some of it, but.
It's not 100%.
Okay, a large portion, whatever, all I'm doing is talking, that's why I
Right.
have legal counsel.
The question is no.
They did just change the law this last year, like, so when the Spanish Fort got Costco, they would not be able to do that right now. The way they did it with the incentives, yeah.
So that's good to know, that's where we need to be kept in the loop, I can't read all those bills.
I did present it on, you all fell asleep on it.
He told us all of it. Were you happy?
I wasn't here that day.
Jason was at hour 5 or 6.
It was like the 6th hour. You guys were all asleep.
Hey, so I don't have I just have, like, if we're buying in this home to adventure, it doesn't seem like we have any priorities on adventure.
No, we don't.
Up on our list right now currently.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you the thing, but on, on this list, we need to put some, but I know on our strategic plan, the kind of priorities, there was CMP, there was the motocross, there's a few things like that. So yeah, let's talk about that. What do we want to recruit the Payson to have more adventure?
We need some, I'll write this in adventure. I teach woodshop, folks, remember that. Not English.
Four Bay's got to be part of that adventure, and we're working currently on Four Bay and trying to define what we want that to look like. But attract Pro Bass Store. Or, yeah, ATV, side by sides.
We get that trail or we still work.
You know, I mean, we used to have a sporting goods store, and we don't.
Yeah. Sportsman's Warehouse, I know they're looking.
tell. Are we pushing? I think we need to have a,
He's
I think
talking.
that you need to have a conversation about short-term rentals. Well, like Airbnb, to fill some of that gap.
And I did look in Payson the other day and they're really, most places have tons of them. We hardly have any of them. And I don't know how many we want, but that is something to look at.
Enormous amount of tax base.
Do we add it? We gain the taxes on it though.
This brings to mind those big events like the mayor talked about rodeos and different things that cities have that bring those people in.
Yeah, equestrian park.
Which we had some of that in the works.
Yeah, and we still do.
So maybe.
Who said that?
Do we have?
Who said, what did he say? Maybe. Not maybe, it's gonna happen.
I hope you're in touch with something.
Hmm?
I hope.
I know what I'd like on this list. I'd like to have a multi-use trail all the way to Payson Lakes.
Okay, but those people that came and visited.
Yes,
us about
we got
shooting.
some money to get that far, but I think to have it all the way to Payson Lakes.
And that's, it's frustrating because they're going so damn slow.
Everything moves slow.
Yep.
You know, this multi-use trail too, that, I don't know if we want to designate a spot. You know, because I always get up there and I look, and I would love to get some more off-road trails up Payson Canyon. I know it's not conducive to a lot of people and their thought process, but that's an infinity sign. In case you're wondering. Having a destination.
That's a lazy 8 is what it is.
Drunk one, tipped over. But I get up into like Black Hawk and there, whatever they call that little area, Payson Canyon, and you can look off down into Indianola. Yeah, you look down off into Indianola and down into that way. And I just look at that and think, are we missing an untapped potential to get from point A to point B? Can we get down off those hills? And I talked to the Forest Service about it, and they says, well, all you have to do is propose it. But I just haven't had the time, the initiative. Do we need to make that part of economic development? Let's start to propose some other types of trails up Payson Canyon that would draw this adventure. So not just multi-use, but ATV.
One thing we're working on too, and goes with adventures, we hardly have any use of the Nebo area in the winter. So we're trying to get some better parking and things like that, but I think winter use of the Nebo would be really good.
Back in the days when I snowmobiled, it was one of the top 2 or 3 places in the state to snowmobile is to go up Payson Canyon. I mean, you've got Mirror Lake Highway, Payson Canyon, you've got Fairview. Those are some of the tops, and that's really where they're at. And I think that we could, but the problem is you can't get vehicles up there. And with the trailer, the parking being limited at 6 cars. To 6 cars, it's really a struggle. And I thought, I misunderstood what they were doing to the road up there when they were changing, taking the bend out. I got up there all excited and it wasn't anything. I'm like, this was a waste of money.
Yeah, we tried to get them to put a parking lot where they changed the bend, but they wouldn't do it. But where they're looking at doing the parking lot where you just go past the Boy Scout camp and there's a big curve there where they stop plowing. That's where the Forest Service is looking at putting a parking lot. They've already talked to the Boy Scouts about using that land in that corner. So a big parking lot there's what we're looking at
They
doing.
thought they owned it, but they don't. It's the Boy Scout. So America owns that.
I'd like, is that facility being used to its capacity? The Boy Scouts, Maple Dell?
That's what they tell us.
Yeah, that's another thing to work on too. I'd put the Boy Scout camp because that could be,
They came to us and were proposing that they made it a family camp.
yeah, they kind of changed it.
They've changed that
Yeah.
somewhat.
But I think I put it on there because I know that there is things keep shrinking and things change, and I mean, that could be a great adventure spot.
What we had there.
What about, and this, and I've been more looking at the just the retail and commercial and office warehouse, industrial. And we've got, because we've been getting lots of housing, especially high density, but what about this, something to do with high-end homes, getting something along that lines?
Above Doug Welton's house, we was talking about that. There was quite a few up there. I don't think they're being left completely off the table. So, am I right?
Well, at some
Not
point,
as many as we would like, but I don't know that it's being completely overlooked.
well, a place that is eventually going to be developed is the P Mountain foothill too. So that's another place that high value homes could be.
I think that you also have to consider what jobs are we bringing to Payson that would afford that lifestyle and that type of income. Those aren't $30 an hour jobs. And so what are we focusing on that's going to bring more high tech, more high paying jobs? So people can afford to be part of our community.
Yeah, and you're right. And then we need to address that a little bit more in our strategic plan, how we're going to recruit these. Because what we looked at with what we're thinking about with MTech coming with the makerspace, and that is having high-end tech jobs for manufacturing, so high tech manufacturing, robotics, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we need, how are we going to do that? We've got, so I think that's a good one to put on there as a priority, but how are we going to do that, make that happen, not just say, here, this is what we want, but there's a lot of difference between what we want and how we go about doing it.
In the employment opportunities. We do have a lot of manufacturing, we have a lot of office warehouses going in, but yes, what are those other jobs that provides that full gamut for the house, everything from affordable all the way to, you know, executive.
But I do see that there are high-end, I mean, we drove by a house and said, well, yeah, that's the owner of Plunder. And I'm like, well, she's not in Payson anymore.
No, she's up in
She's moved to wherever. it was.
Woodland Hills.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we're getting those high-paying jobs, but they're leaving Payson because those neighborhoods aren't here that they want to live in as well. And I don't think we're too far away from high-paying jobs, that if we had high-end neighborhoods, people would come here to commute. But maybe I'm wrong.
But if you have freeway access, someone will live here and commute 30 minutes, no problem, if they think it's pretty, you know.
If you get on and off.
That's what I mean, if you have freeway access,
Well, we don't. It's a nightmare.
that's what I'm saying, yeah, so.
That's why the new interchange is so important.
It's interesting that I was just looking at our general plan, they put some statistics in there, and don't quote me exactly, but of the like 8,000 jobs or something in Payson, only 1,500 of them are done by people in Payson. About 15, well, that's not how many jobs in Payson, but that's how many people either work or inside Payson or outside Payson. About 1,500 are live in Payson, about 1,500 come from outside Payson, maybe 3,000 jobs, but about 4,500 people of Payson go out of Payson to work. So I guess that could be a priority. How do we find jobs for people in Payson that, so they can stay here and work in Payson, but good paying jobs?
And some of that's connected to MTech and the influence they'll have on our economy too, and the workforce that could be here for companies to come and locate here.
The hospital provides a lot of those jobs, but the challenge I see with Payson in the hospital is we're like the bookie in the south. And so a lot of the surgeons or whatever, because they don't just do surgery at Payson Hospital, they do it at 4 or 5 hospitals. They want to live closer to the areas where they're at. So as you grow south of us, it'll actually help.
And to go along with that, I think that's where, if we plan this right for Payson, where we get some executive housing and we get all the adventure, then they might want to come here and be down here because of what we have versus living up where it's more crowded and don't have all the what we have.
Yes, yes.
Wendy, you have anything to add?
I want to address that later.
Which one's that one?
Got restaurants and interactive retail, it's a draw from downtown, someplace something to do.
Right.
Nice restaurants. We have good tasting restaurants. We don't have nice restaurants, but it doesn't.
We don't have restaurants that people in the community identify as places they want to eat.
Right.
Survey that, they say they go elsewhere.
Exactly, and that's the problem, is we need enough of them to hold them here, so that when they go to the restaurant, whatever restaurant it may be, not gonna name drop, and it's booked out, they stay, well, we're already here, let's just go.
But going to the point what she's saying,
Yeah.
no, you don't have a sit-down restaurant. Dalton's was
No.
the closest you have.
Yeah.
It was, and specifically, we were told, we're done with pizza, we're done with Mexican. I mean, not that we don't love it.
Right.
But give us more options. And I think that challenge that you run into, Brian, is any of the big boxes, the Texas, Texas roadhouses of the world, it's all an algorithm. How many house rooftops do you have?
Yeah.
And like you say, try to convince them that our economy is from Delta up to here, that then makes the rooftop count feasible, is a hard sell. So I think that what we're trying to do is something other than that we have some control over.
How do you help a restaurant to change the way they are? I think Kaka is a top-notch restaurant. Love to sit down there. I eat food, in my opinion, super good. It's different than what we've ever had. And you go in there and there's always people in there, but it's never brought up and talked about because it's the old pet store. You know what I mean? How can we make something like that more marketable?
They are looking at building a new building across the street.
Kaka is?
Yes.
Ooh,
They're talking
see,
to a property owner about it.
well, right, we're at across the street. Staying on that end of town,
Yes.
In Scott's property.
I think, so what do you just, I'm just reading your minds over there or something, or
We haven't
what?
seen anything. All we've heard is that there's.
Just from the
Like,
property
conversation.
owner we've heard, and they've talked about it, but nothing's like.
See, and I mean, I don't know, if you've never eaten there, you're missing out. Well, you have to like Indian food,
Yeah.
and
I
that is the key, the caveat. I guess it's the brother of the guy that owns the Bombay House in Provo. Kind of divided, and that's where he ended up. So, I mean, it's there, we just need to get more of that kind of stuff.
I guess the other thing we need to think about as we're doing our strategic plan for economic development is the part of it's the quality of life and the hometown feel. That came out in the survey a lot about hometown feel. So as we grow, we're going to have a lot of these things and the housing and everything, but how are we going to keep that hometown feel? I think that's got to be addressed. And part of that's hopefully the downtown and how we do the downtown. But that's another thing in our strategic plan. As we talk about things in council, things like that, we need to be cognizant of that we don't want to be like the Spanish Fork. I mean, somebody want to be like Spanish Fork. Brett don't want to be like, was it Brett? You want to be like Spanish Fork just a little while ago? So. Oh, the mayor. Okay. We don't want to be like Spanish Fork where you get off there and you got all that congestion and nobody likes it and hates it. We got to plan better than that, because as we get these things and we want these things for the tax base, but we got to plan to make sure that they work well and don't distract from the quality of life. Yeah, and this survey was done about 3 years ago. We really need to do another one. We've been talking about somebody about doing that. So it could be Payson city residents, and most of them were, but there could have been out of town people too. But yeah.
The problem was getting people to do it.
Right. That's a good idea. Right. And also, what do you think of Payson? And when we can find out if our, and maybe you can do it a few years later and see if attitudes are changed. I think attitudes have changed outside of Payson about Payson in the last 10 years. I could be wrong, but I think they have somewhat. But yeah, it'd be nice to know what other people think about. And then we can look at that and say, because if we're trying to be the venture place and attract people here, we got to know how we can get them here. A great idea.
So Travis brought up a good idea that we've talked about a lot in our management meetings and stuff is, and I've always said this, people see Payson from I-15 driving north or south. Like when I tell someone where are you the golf club? I'm in Payson, and they're like, oh yeah, where? And I'm like, so that part of Payson, in my opinion, is not the most attractive part of Payson. That's not Payson. And so if there was a way to make that nicer, you know, Travis said the interchange, I know that's UDOT and different things, but that's where a lot of people see Payson from.
You're right.
Is that the car window going 80?
You know, like you showed the temple, how many people go there and what do you see on 930? There's this little park, but then it's all weeds and, you know, elm trees along Dry Creek. Like, we've got to make it look professional if we want people to be drawn. We can't make it look like we don't take care of anything. It's just kind of, you know, and the interchange is hard because UDOT's going to make us pay for it and maintain it. We have to get their blessing to go out in the right of way to do it.
The community.
That's a good one.
Community
Yes, community image. They're very good.
One of our meetings that we had, when we talked about doing downtown, I caught one of the owners of one of the buildings when we talked about they're going to have to change the face of the building. And I asked him why his place looked so trashy and why, and I did. That's exactly what I said to him. Mr. DeWitt. And I said, what are you using that building for? He says, I've got a couple of businesses in there. And I says, what about the front? I said, it's a joke. It looks awful. You're going to have to, well, I come up Main Street tonight and there's two women on tall ladders breaking off that white. And he's put I don't know, he's got a big new window in and they're taking off that siding that was rippled, you know. They were ripping that off.
There's the key.
Maybe I just need to have a big mouth to others, I guess. I guess.
Working for you so far.
I know.
I tried it and got reprimanded. The community image, you're talking about that, I don't like to compare to other cities, but we were at Costa Vida one day eating lunch this summer, and Santa Quin City's Parks Department came in for lunch. And I was sitting there next to Wes. Wes happened to be in front of me. Then I was there, and then Santa Quin City's Parks came in. And I says, do you have that many guys? And he says, nowhere near. So when we start to compare seasonal work or not, they were all in the exact same bright orange shirt, looked sharp as could be. Their boss was taking them out to lunch. There was at least 14 of them. And that wasn't even all of them. They kind of came trickling in a little bit more. And I'm like, they're outstaffed us by 3 times. And I know that it costs money and I know that that's not great, but it is part of our image. That's where we're at. And if it's buying them all nice new fancy shirts and we have 15 full-time employees taking care of parks, great. I mean, we have a lot of them. I mean, you start taking Forbay into account and things of that nature. I mean, I feel like I'm barking up the wrong tree, but it's something that needs to be looked at.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, that's why I have a column for budget too, is kind of budget these items and then guys and try to make these work. Another one I thought of when we talked about adventures is Spring Lake. That's just a way underutilized and area in that Payson owns.
Parks are driven me nuts since the day they were built.
Yeah. 'Cause it's beautiful.
Anybody have any other priorities, things they'd like to talk about that we can think about, that we really, how we can make Payson the place we want to live and have our families and grow and invite other people to here to enjoy Payson with us?
Yeah.
Community image, right? Well, and I know another struggle we have is a priority would probably be to figure out how to get infrastructure and new places for industrial and retail. Maybe we just, that's a priority to me.
I think that's important to remember with that west side. Well, I mean, if we come in here in the I-15 interchange, we try everything in our power. That's a top priority, but if it's not gonna go, then how do we fix, what do we move to next? I think she's got a point, but downtown parking, drivability, high-paying jobs. You got a job ahead of you.
So from my perspective, what would you like me to prioritize and what would you like me to work on if you had your top 3 things? It could be like a specific, like Sam's Club or Home Depot, or just give me specifics, 3 specific things and not just sales tax generated. But if you wanted me to go out and get something, or the mayor go out and get something, or Dave or Robert, what would be the 3 top things that you'd like to see in Payson?
My question is which one of these, if thrown in a pond, would cause some ripples that would affect the others? That is honestly where we need to look. Well, the market. Come in here and we go, hey, let's add people to the parks department so they can clean up. Is that going to cause I-15 interchange to come around? No. If we get a Bass Pro Shop, is that going to cause the I-15 interchange? Which one of these ripples is going to get us a big ripple out there? I-15 interchange, we don't have any control over whether that does or doesn't. We can entice it by density. And by putting the other stuff in there, we can drive them, but we have to put the cart before the horse, right, Robert?
Yeah.
And this is the problem. That's what we hate about UDOT. Is they do everything backwards. So we need to do it back. I mean, we have to do it backwards, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, there are a couple of things on the I-15 interchange that might make a difference. We're looking at doing a plan for front runner stop, and also redoing the master or the area plan for all that church property. And because the church can sell in 3 years. And if we could start putting things together and recruit some like Bass Pro Shop or something like that, and say, we got these companies, these commercial companies will come if we had the interchange and if the church is on board. I think that would help push some of that, not just housetops, but they could see the economic benefit for the state. So.
Well, you get something like Smith Marketplace and like over in Springville, they would probably like around 20 acres, and then they could subdivide that acreage for what's been built around. And and I've been told by some of the representatives from Woodbury, if we can get a store like the Smith Marketplace, there are others, they're just waiting in the wings for that to happen, and they would come.
Right. Well, it was just like also, it seems like it's taken it. We got that big push now, and then we're sizzling out around it. There to draw the rest of them in.
So going back to your question. Okay, and yep.
Yeah, there's your big stone. Your big rock, as we call it in education. Now what are the little rocks?
Okay, another one that's gonna be, make a difference is that the CMP, the gun range. That will make a difference because it's helping get it, working on a hotel and things like that. So I think that will be kind of a game changer too.
I still think the Great Western Lodge is something we need to go back. We need to hit them hard again. I mean, I don't know if the science papers are solidified it, but they did an RFI for Payson. And we have changed. Our information is different than when they asked last time. And I think we need to let them know.
Put it down there.
Yep.
Sympathize with my students right now.
That's the one that's the water park.
Yeah.
And they're kind of expensive to stay
But it's one of those,
in. Mount Rushmore is the only one I've ever stayed in.
but it's one of those, it's a destination. We don't necessarily have to have those high end here. They'll come to that, right?
Yeah, but I think the CMP, that's right up their alley.
Yep.
So somebody asked about the software, if we could look at other places. I went and looked up Great Western Lodge, a whole bunch of them, see what their demographics was. So we have that ability to look at their demographics in all the different areas, so we can start comparing them and giving them data. I mean, Utah fits really well for their demographics. There's no question about it. If we can just show them that Utah didn't close down during the pandemic and that Payson be a great place. So.
And we've talked about that. Okay, have we beat it to death?
Yep, I said move to the next item.
Okay. I think we've beat it to death, which is a good thing.
I think the things that they wanted me to focus on was, and they didn't say this, but I'm gonna add it, but just the big box, Sam's Club, Home Improvement and Smith's, a restaurant, making sure CMP comes and maybe an I-15 interchange.
This to me might be a legislative action.
Well, it is, but we gotta push it from our end. We gotta do the work. Otherwise, it'll never happen if we aren't actively engaged trying to make it happen.
Never go to the back burner and start.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
But how do we get it? How do we get it to fall?
I don't know.
You know, how do we get it to make it happen?
I've got some information that,
Yeah, I'm baiting it.
okay, good.
I've been in politics long enough to control it.
Okay.
So those kind of priorities I look at. Does that sound like priorities? And then, well, and the other thing is coming up with more land for, it's got to be a priority, coming up for more land for interstate, commercial and industrial. That's got to be another priority
Well, I
too.
think as the value of the land comes up, people are going to want to sell it for that purpose. But one thing, don't forget, we're here for you, Brian. If you need us to make phone calls, you call and say, hey, I found this phone number. I need you to call this person and talk to them. This is what you're talking to them about. And I mean, yeah, you've got pull as economic development, but I mean, we're council. Yeah, but you need to send us in the right direction. I don't know how to beat this dead horse is the problem. You know what I mean?
Bob's had it out the last couple of meetings. He did want me to say after this work session or whatever, just to thank Brian for the work he's been doing. I agree. I think there's been some good things happen.
Agreed.
That we just need to continue to work on, you know, these few priorities. If we get the downtown building that we bought moving forward, but there's some good synergy. So we can only control what we can control. Maybe behind the scenes with lobbyists and things, we can help on the I-15.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'm motion for adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
I want to second it. if I
Okay,
can.
all in favor? No third? All in favor?
I
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever.
I